Undisputed this morning, everybody. We're so glad you're with us. I'm Jen Hale, alongside Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Guys, anybody get any sleep last night between the playoffs and the draft?
We had a lot going on. Yes.
So, Jerry Jones, he went out and he got him another Ty Smith at left tackle. Unfortunately, it wasn't Tyron Smith from USC.
Exactly.
It was Tyler Smith from Tulsa.
And unfortunately, there were no question marks about Ty Smith from USC.
Yeah.
There's a lot of question marks about Tyler.
We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes.
Wow. Hey,
it is a jam-packed day, guys. So much ground to cover.
I'm not buying them. Yep.
Let's jump in, guys. We're going to start with the NBA playoffs. And whew, this one hurt my heart. In a back-and-forth contest in New Orleans last night, Chris Paul scored 33 points, set an NBA playoff record by making all 14 of his field goal attempts. Suns go on to win 115-109. Will now advance to face the Mavericks in the Western Conference semifinals. This was such an emotional game. Shannon, on a scale of 1 to 10, how surprised were you by the Suns winning this one?
I'm at a 30 because I can't predict what Chris Paul did last night. Skip, this is getting ridiculous now. The last three closeout games. This is what he did. In Game 6 against the Clippers, 41 points on 16 of 24 shooting, 7 of 8 from the three-point line. In the 4-game sweep of the Denver Nuggets, he's 37 points, 14 of 19, no threes, but he was 9 of 9. And then last night, the man goes perfect, 14 of 14, with no missed threes, no missed free throws, no. Only Wilt Chamberlain has ever made more without a miss, and he did both of those in the regular season. Come on, CP3. Skip, we saw Game 1, Game 3, Game 5. Games 2, Game 4. I'm like, okay, Game 6, CP3, he been off, and he goes out and does this. 33 points on 14 of 14 shooting, Skip. I thought he couldn't get any better than what he did against the Clippers and the Nuggets. This might have been even better. And I'm running out of words what to say. And this is why that's why they call him the point guard. Skip, 68 assists, 9 turnovers. And the Pels, that was a tough, they were riled up. Alvarado played more minutes than he probably ever played before in his life. And he's playing well. And Chris like, bro, I got this. Hey, every time, and the Pels had a lead. But every time it got close in the fourth quarter, I don't know what it is about this. I don't know what it is about Chris Paul. And Wilt Chamberlain, we can say, well, Skip, them dunks and them layups. We've seen big Skip be perfect, but they dunks and layups. Chris Paul ain't getting no dunks. Chris Paul ain't laying the ball up. He's shooting jumpers.
Yep.
So I'm at a 30, Skip, because I just knew the Pels had this. I was like, you know what? CJ going to have one of those bounce-back games. But CJ let him down in this series, Skip. In the 2 wins, he's 8 of 19 from the 3, 42%. In the 4 losses, he's 9 of 32, 28%.
Yep.
And he had some great looks last night. He's had great looks throughout the series, but he just didn't cash those in. But even him not cashing those in, it took a historic performance from a guy that's barely 6 foot tall.
Yep.
I guarantee you, the likelihood of you ever seeing a guy the size of Chris Paul doing what Chris Paul did in a playoff game, skip regular season, we know, hey, that's not to diminish the regular season, but to do it when a lot of the chips are being shoved to the middle of the table because we know what the playoffs mean. There is no more tomorrow. You lose this series. And he came up the man played like he's 7 foot tall.
Correct.
And he's barely 6 foot tall.
Agreed.
So, Skip, I'm at a 30 that they won this game. Look, I know they're the 1 seed. They were, 7, 8 games clear of everybody else in the NBA. That's not to diminish it. But Chris Paul, I did not see a historic performance coming like this here. And I want to see the person that's ever predicted one of those. So, Skip, I'm at a 30.
Okay, if you were at a 30, I'm a 40. I'm a 50. I'm a 60. I'm running out of words. I told you that I still believe the Suns would win this series with or without Devin Booker because I told you I'm not betting against Chris Paul in Phoenix.
Right.
But I did bet against him last night because I really thought the Pels would take it to a Game 7 back in Phoenix. And yet, Chris's home away from home, his first NBA home, was New Orleans.
Right.
And he played last night like he was back home, and he sent the Pels home in their home.
Yes.
And Chris Paul played last night like there was no tomorrow.
Yes.
There was a tomorrow, but this was no tomorrow. This was another closeout game. And by the way, I have to amend his nickname of Point God. I think he's turned into a two God, right?
Yes.
He's a two God. I don't know about the point part anymore. He's a two God.
Man, this is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. And it started a year ago against my Clippers in a game I did not see coming because I thought the Clippers were going to the NBA Finals. And here came Chris Paul at what was then called Staples, obviously. And you know what happened. You read the numbers, but he made 7 of 8 three-point shots. What Chris Paul did to the Clippers, just to refresh everybody's memory, from the 92nd mark of the third quarter through the fourth quarter, he scored 27 points on the Clippers. There was no Kawhi, obviously, but the Clippers with Paul George, playoff P, they were rolling.
Right.
And all of a sudden, they got rolled over by Chris Paul.
Didn't they have Pat Bam? Pat Bam was in that game, so they had to get
remember, he was until the bitter end, and then he took a running shot at CP3, just jacked him right in the back.
He did.
And was gone.
Right.
And gone from the Clippers.
Yes.
Okay, here's my biggest takeaway on CP3. If possible, he has gotten much better at 36 than he was at 35 or 34 or 33 when he was very good.
Right.
Now he's all-time great.
Yeah.
And again, we see LeBron turn 37, and I see some aging effects.
Right.
But Chris Paul's going he's going Benjamin Button. And to your point, I've been all over little Maestro, Trae Young, because they're about the same height.
Right.
But Trae Young doesn't have any physique to him. He doesn't have any
they got
stature.
totally different body types.
Solely because Chris, they say he's vegan, but boy, he looks like he's getting his protein. I got to tell you, because he can create space with his stature, with his power, with his physicality.
Right.
And what I loved about last night was little Jose Alvarado got so much acclaim for pestering, irritating, bothering Chris in the previous two games. So did Herb Jones. And all of a sudden, Chris has, we both thought, well, you can't recover fast enough to have another game in a row like this. But you just know that he stewed for 48 hours. Jose Alvarado? And he's like, do you know who I am?
He's like, man, these people actually think Alvarado can stop me.
Really? That's what happened.
That's what
And so he comes out last night and he goes, watch this. And he doesn't make his first 5 or his first 8, or he makes all 14 in a row. And I will say this. I believe that the basketball gods, for once, because he has been as snake-bitten as anybody who ever played in the playoffs before. And by the way, his overall playoff record is still only 69-66. And in a moment, I'll go through some of the flameouts. But all of a sudden, the basketball god said, let there be CP3 tonight. Because he was getting a few bounces where I said, it's just his night, man. Right? They're bouncing around and falling in. If we could see his 14 shots that he made in a row, this is impossibly spectacular.
His shot right there.
That's his shot. Nobody can create that better. And he's creating it with his stature. He bounces people off. It's not like he's a great leaper. Look at these shots. Is he now the master of the mid-range? It's not even mid-range. Sometimes it's kind of short range. You know, like the 8-foot jumper. They're hard shots. They're contested. Much taller players. Okay? Boof, bam. Chris, calm down. No, I got this. That one's a little lucky.
He got
I didn't think that one was going to go.
Either.
And then that one.
I mean, the guy's 6 foot taller. He's 1 foot Durkin.
That was pretty lucky right there. That's why I said, okay, you got me. It's your night. That's actually a fall away that sort of greased in over the edge of the rim. And that's that. So in the second half, they win the second half. What was it? 67-51, I believe, was the score. Yep, 67-51. Okay, but here's the bigger picture of this. The Pelicans led this game by 12, and then they led by 10 at halftime. Okay? The Pels won points in the paint, 60-40. The Pelicans won the boards, 36-32. The Pelicans won second chance points, 18-4. They won fast break points, 20-7. Yet the Suns won the second half, 67-51, because Chris Paul just flat out said, I refuse to lose this game.
Yeah.
I got it. And we always think, well, they kind of go as Devin Booker goes, and now I feel foolish because I tried at the end of the year. I said, somebody on this team needs to get some MVP consideration.
But Skip, that's why Book didn't get it.
I got it.
Because of Chris Paul. And Chris Paul got MVP consideration last year. But Skip, if you think about it, in clutch time, 5 minutes of the ball game, the game within 5, they're the best they're one of the best in the NBA. They're 35 and 10 in that situation.
I think they were the best.
Because of him.
Because of him.
He's going to every time down, he's going to get somebody a great shot. He's not going to do what Mike Conley did, travel and turn the ball over.
Mike Conley was a disaster at the end of that game. I felt for him because he's a really good guy.
But he is a true point guard. He's not looking...
Well, he's just a true leader.
He's a leader of leaders.
Yes.
But, Skip, a lot of these guys are two guards masquerading as point.
Yep.
And they get in a situation like that, I'm going to go